Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Taking America Camping. I'm Tim Meadows at TNS RV and Sport down in Navasota, Texas. Joined today by Matt Cameron, our Executive Director of Parts and Service, and my partner Tex Maxon. So, boys, today we wanted to dive deeply into something that we covered on the surface level in our very first episode, kind of our intro episode. But we wanted to talk and get down into the nitty gritty today for everybody that's listening about our PDI process. Uh, PDI, for anybody that doesn't know, stands for pre-delivery inspection. It's part of our everyday routine at TNS. It's a process that we take these new units, used units, but before they go out to live at a customer's house, we run them through a complete inspection process and verify everything in its working condition. So that's the surface view of it, but we'd like to delve into this on a much deeper level today. So we brought the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Matt Cameron, the guy that oversees that entire wing of the business here at TNS, and PDI falls directly under his purview. So Matt, man, we're going to make this one largely you get to talk a lot today. Just, yeah, it's gonna take a burden off of everybody out there listening, having to listen to my mouth run too much today. So Matt, let's just run through here from the very beginning, the general idea behind PDI, and then just we'll go in from there into the process and to the importance of that process in our.
Let's talk a little bit about the team. Start there because it makes my job really easy when I have a really good team. And some of our most experienced employees are PDI guys. So each location, I'm in touch with the service managers daily. I've got text messages from a couple of them while I'm sitting here getting started with this podcast and just staying afloat of everything going on from service to PDI. Helping answer questions. But like I said, the great thing is the team members that I have. We've got some very experienced people that know how to handle every situation they run into. The important aspect of a PDI for us is that we touch everything. We don't want to leave anything uncovered. And there's some difference in new and used units. So we're talking new units right now. We have a new unit PDI that's going to come in, and we're going to take that unit, we're going to plug it in, we're going to hook it up to water, and we're going to try to let this thing set for 72 hours minimum. Every customer situation is a little different. A customer may pull in here and say, hey, I need this unit tomorrow. I've got to be on the road and I would like to have it now. So what we do is we throw gas on it, we throw water on it, hook up to electricity, grab one of our guys, and we explain the situation to them, hand them the checklist, which is going to be 75 plus points of inspection that we're going to go through on our personal checklist, and say, hey, let's get to it. Let's get this thing moving. But typical situation, customer calls and says, or walks a unit, says, I want this one, and it's going to be a week from now or 2 weeks from now. We're going to get it on water and get the tanks filled, hook it up to electricity, get gas on it, operate appliances, get ACs running, get the fridge cooled off as quick as possible. That way we can let it run as long as possible. Give us the best vision we can of what we're testing.
I think it's important really quickly to note that a lot of this stuff happens early on when the unit comes into inventory.
Yeah.
So there's a lion's share of what we're talking about that we're doing has been done on some level before it's sold. We just have the breadth of experience that tells us, we can trust these things, but we've got to verify it. That's something that Texas has stood on that hill from day one. It's like, no matter how confident I am in this thing based on what I feel like I already know, until I see it again right now as the customer is here to pick it up, I really just want to verify it.
Yeah, so you got two different things we're talking about here, right, that actually tie in together. When a unit hits the lot, we're going to do a dealer inspection form. So we're going to do our check on it, sign off on the paperwork that everything's fit and finished good, all the parts are here, all the options are on, everything matches. And then we're going to go through it like a pre-PDI, run through all the operations. And then the final PDI is pre-delivery, right before the customer picks up. We want to have it nice and shiny, clean, everything functional. Water systems, we're going to go through, test it in every function, make sure if it's got a gas electric water heater, we're testing both those functions, check the water pump, make sure the pressure is good, check every faucet, make sure nothing needs cleaned out. And the key thing with having on water for so long is make sure there's no leaks. RV industry problem, water leaks. Mm-hmm. And having it hooked up for 72 hours gives us that time to see, is there a drip anywhere? Sometimes you plug it in and right away, you're not going to notice that. It takes some time.
I've noticed over the years that we see a lot in those early drips, mm-hmm. in the first bit of ownership or in the PDI process. A lot of it seems to be on hot water lines, mm-hmm. where we see that water is hot when it runs through and everything expands. And then when it cools and all the materials begin to retract a little bit, we sometimes can find a little bit of space that we can start to see something like what we're talking about, a slow drip. Nothing like a flood, but those drips are typically at fittings and they tend to be, if it didn't present immediately, it tends to be on a hot water line as it presents a little bit later.
Yeah. If you look at the way our PDI form is set up, and I keep looking down because I'm referring to it, mm-hmm. but it's set up in a specific order. So we're hitting those water systems and LP systems first because they need to be activated as quick as possible. The fit and finish stuff, we can look at that stuff as we go and later and go through our checklist. But the detail that we want to get into is operating slide outs. We don't want a slide out to get to a customer down the road and it's not sealing. We got water coming in. So we want to run those slides and make sure we have good seals. If it's a toy hauler, drop the rear gate, set up anything that's assembly wise there. Make sure it's clean, free of debris, make sure it operates, seals, and closes like it should. Check every window, every door. And the key part of doing that too is you're going to take this thing down the road. You may go 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 miles once you leave our place. You have a specific period for adjustments. So 90 days from the time you leave our lot is what your warranty covers for adjustments. So when you're talking slide outs, windows, blind shades, doors, anything that may move a little bit going down the road from some real use, you have 90 days to get back to us and get that adjusted. That's something that we try to cover on our PDI with our customers, make sure they know that, circle around with our service department. And a lot of them set up appointments before they even leave our shop.
Yeah, so we've done that, tried to do that as standard fare here, kind of running a beta test on that program with an episode of shop, like just trying to get that stuff organized from the day of delivery, 75 to 80 days out, getting it back, giving us a little window of time to run some diagnostics and stuff like that and make sure that all those claims are able to be submitted and processed properly before that 90 days is up.
Yeah, as thorough as we go through these, you're going to find stuff. Stuff is going to come up. And our goal is, you got your point of sale, point of delivery, and then it's our customer service after that. And we want to provide the best in the country. So you have a problem on the road, whether you're close to us and you can get it back to us, whether you're out on the road somewhere and you have any issues come up, make sure those get noted with us. Give us a call. We'll document them. We'll get them over to the factories, make sure they have record of it. Even if it's late in the warranty, just make sure that you have no issues there and getting the coverage that you need.
Right. Yeah. And I think that we shouldn't just stop and note, like, for anybody out there, the idea that anybody has ever built a perfect RV, right? Like we joke all the time. I've probably said it on this podcast several times, like the next perfect RV is going to be the first. Yeah. And we may go have it gold plated and hang it from the rafters here to commemorate it. There's things that we need to adjust and address on really every one of these things on some level. Yeah. And it's important for people to know that it's not a matter of if, but when. There's going to be something that comes up. The idea that, like what you mentioned, you're going to drag it down the road. And the best analogy I've ever heard is you're towing a 7.0 earthquake into hurricane force winds. If you're going 65, 70 miles an hour, you're towing an earthquake into a hurricane. Like,
Yeah.
the idea that something may not rattle loose or you may not get a little bit of shakeout from the construction process, I think that it's unrealistic, and you're gonna see debris that maybe have been in the AC ducts and whatnot uh, for the first whole bunch of times that you run the ACs. You turn them off and then turn them back on after you've traveled. Some of that stuff's going to settle and make its way out into the coach.
Mhm. Yeah, we're going to catch a lot of the shakedown. 1,800 miles to our location. That's a good first run for an RV. But you're going to come up with a lot more. You're going to have debris in the slide outs, in the vents, in the ducts. Stuff's going to work its way out behind cabinets and fall down on countertops. That's just part of the shakedown process. We get a lot of it. We clean them really, really well, but driving it's gonna really clean it out.
Sure. So we have a standard form. You're referring to the form that you've got there in front of you, but I do know that we use that as a starting point.
Yep.
But there are also, we have a bunch of different OEM manufacturing partners that we work with, and there's not all of them have a standard form of their own, but the ones that do, we make sure that we're working on that list, and then we use ours as a bit of an overflow, to make sure that if ours is more comprehensive than theirs, that we're still checking through all of those things and can certify that for the customer.
Sure. Yeah. Every inch of the RV is going to be touched. Part of that too, this checklist is also part of the delivery process. And we use this as a guide when we walk our customers to make sure that we touch every button with them and show them every operation of every function of the RV.
Sure.
We want to work at their pace. So the walkthrough, the customer is going to show up. They're going to meet with our delivery representative. We're going to introduce them, and then they're going to start the process, usually on the outside of the unit. And it's going to be a slow walk around showing every operation, every function, opening the water heater doors, opening all the compartment doors, showing the water systems, how to use it. Any options that might have been added to the outside, if we put slide out toppers on or a hitch, we'll show them those, answer any questions related to that. But, the speed of the walkthrough is dictated by the knowledge of the customer typically.
Absolutely.
You'll get a customer that'll walk in and say, hey, I've owned 5. They've all been fifth wheels. This is another fifth wheel. They're all the same. I want to get on the road. And then we'll do a quick walkthrough with them at their pace and send them on the road. And then we get the first time customers. It's not uncommon to have 4 or 5 hours with a customer.
Right.
On just a walkthrough.
Sure. So I actually met with our PDI techs in Navasota this morning before we opened. And we went over exactly that, just that reminder that, hey, we've got to meet every customer where they are, and I shared with those guys that in the early days when I was doing, most of the walkthroughs, that I would always try to take the approach of, look, I'm going to treat this as my default setting, like assuming that nothing, right? And we'll work at your pace and as fast or as in depth as you want to go. I will meet you where you are in that regard. So the guys, they definitely are cognizant of that, and they want to make sure that they're not moving too fast and that they are being thorough. The goal being just what you said. We want the customer to have the opportunity to see, touch, and experience, as well as get the description and the explanation of the process on everything that coach is capable of doing before they leave, trying to help establish some peace of mind and some genuine education.
Yeah, the importance of PDI to myself, with just a perspective, our service units probably outnumber our PDI units maybe 3 to 1, 4 to 1,
this time of year, 2 to 1.
2 to 1.
We have 100 service units on the ground, and we'll sell 50 units of that, right? In round numbers, of course.
Whichever location I hit first, my first steps are to our PDI board, see what's on it, what's delivering, exactly when it's going, what's been added recently, and then out to the PDI team. Hey, what do you guys need? Where are you at? How can I help?
Yeah.
And that's a important part that the 3 people in this podcast right now spend a lot of hands-on time with PDI.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
We help if there's a problem. We'll help expedite materials if needed. We'll help troubleshoot. We'll help wash a unit, whatever it takes to get it done. There's hands-on here. So
There's a lot of logistics that go into all this too, right? I mean, if you're talking about moving 35 to 50 units a month out of a particular location, well, they didn't start where they're being PDI'd. I spent an hour on the tractor this morning before we opened, getting a cyclone that was pulled out because it had to go directly into PDI. That's one of those expedited deliveries that you were talking about. Customer schedule just doesn't fit us having the opportunity to have it on power and water and everything for that amount of time. So we've got to get it going. Well, I had to move 6 or 7 trailers in order to get that one out successfully. And we were rearranging the actual PDI bays at the same time. So there's a lot of logistics that go into that, a lot of planning. We have collaboration between the sales team, the parts and service desk to make sure that if there are any add-ons or particular things that were noted, during the sales process that we have to make sure are captured up front. And then, the paperwork that gets put through, the calendar that the technicians are following, and they're communicating directly with the salespeople involved to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because we don't want, Joe Q buyer to pull in on Thursday at 1:00 and that unit isn't even in the bay yet because we didn't take the time to check our schedules. We didn't make the effort to communicate with each other. So there's a big emphasis on internal communication and the logistics involved.
Yeah, sure. Tex was on a tractor this morning at 8:05. I saw him walk out there and hop on it to move a unit up.
Mhm.
So to see owners of a company doing that sort of thing to keep the logistics moving and to have hands-on presence in the PDI lane just shows how important it is, making sure that everything is spot on there and everything is done the same. All 3 locations, all the processes are the same, just the run through.
Sure.
Which is a big evolution for us, because Tex and I, when it was just us, we had a process that was just between us. But once we've gotten more people involved and we're in different locations and whatnot, we can't assume that anybody else on the team will think exactly the way we do or communicate exactly the way we do. So we've moved things much more into an established, framework for those processes to make sure that things are systematically put through, kind of similar to an assembly line, because the first time that we get outside of that is where we invite those unforeseen problems.
Exactly.
I said to the guys this morning, it's like we have to make sure that we're controlling all the things that we can control, because there's enough stuff that happens to us and around us that we have zero control over, that we just have to make sure that the things that we can control, we are spot on, and that makes us much more ready to handle if something goes sideways. So
well, it's funny if as we sit here and run through this, I catch myself listening to when you mention the process and that type of thing, and I catch myself sitting here grading what each of us are doing, which is the same thing that I do with each PDI, because we do our best to get inside and on the roof and underneath and crawl around, look at the belly, make sure that it's sealed up properly, and anything that we need to do before they go. But it's a natural instinct at this point, as you're talking about your process, to kind of sit here on my side and grade what you're talking about that we're doing, so and then get that rig up here, get it gone through, let it run for a 2 or 3 day period or minimum of 48 hours, except for that once in a while where somebody will come in and say, hey, I'll take it, but I have to have it this afternoon. Okay, well, we know what we're doing, so we can do it quickly. We just try not to. But again, how many times a day will I come in and say, hey, that Valor's ready to roll. Customer's going to be here at 3. It's, it's 11 in the morning. Can you go walk it?
Mhm.
And then I'll do the same thing. And inevitably, I never find anything major, just some sawdust here and there or something like that. I'll sweep out of a corner, that kind of stuff. But there's always a little something to be just touched up,
Oh yeah.
But that's after the PDI techs have been in there for, again, minimum of 24 hours. That's after you or Doug have gone back out and walked it again after those guys are done. And then I'll go out and just give it that final run through. And so, yeah, there's a lot that goes into each one. We probably overkill it, but even then, there's times when somebody will get home and we had a washer and dryer that came loose the other day on the way home, and so we went and got it, and they're 3 hours away. I take that back. They brought it back to us so we could fix. We didn't have it secured properly, and it came loose going down the road. And but then we're going to take it back to them on a 3 hour trip because it was part of our PDI. And but that's in the effort that we go through, any situation like that is rare. Unfortunately, I mean it really is a rare scenario for us to miss something, but it's very common for, I would say, almost everybody will get home and call us within a week about something that, how does this work, or how does this
Sure.
button operate, or we learned everything in a walkthrough, but there was a lot of information. So I would say we probably talked to, I'm going to tell you, 85 to 90% of the buyers. We talked to them again in the first 2 weeks, let's just say.
That washer dryer is a good example
Mhm.
because, that's something that got out of here. We made it right. And then, Friday night at 8 o'clock, and I'm on a cell phone conversation with the customer trying to straighten this out because that's how much I care about it. Is they're
Sure.
going to have direct communication with me, and we're gonna sort it out and make it right.
Sure.
One of those situations.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
They do happen.
We had another just recently where the customer was in a really tight turn and bumped his cab with the unit. Well, we do all that we can, but we're not driving the truck,
Right.
and so that's an accident. You know what I mean? But we did bring that vehicle back in, and we actually put another hitch in it for him. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when we did all that for free, we just changed his hitch to a slider, correct?
Yeah, just slider.
So he can move it away from the cab.
Yeah.
And then there's just no way, even like in that case, if the turn is really sharp, you really don't want to do that because that's a sharp bend,
Right.
backing something into a spot, right? So it's not the best deal to be doing to your axles and tires, but nonetheless, we brought that rig back in, swapped the hitch out, didn't charge anything, and now it's there's no way it could touch, So anyway, the process is never perfect, but we try to make it that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The impossibility of achieving perfection does not damper our pursuit of it.
mhm.
We're constantly and it's interesting. You guys mentioned some of the things that have happened. Those are our opportunities to grow, right? We're
Sure.
going to learn from something where we either, if you want to call it a failure, or something that points out to us that there is a way to improve that process. Every one of those opportunities is brought in and internalized and discussed, and we go over, okay, this happened. This is what we did about it. How do we prevent this from becoming an issue going forward?
Mhm.
Because we're genuinely interested in that customer experience.
Yeah,
Sure.
So the unfortunate circumstance that comes up in someone's case, it truly does though become a way that we turn around and try to improve what it is that we're doing, because we don't want it to happen again. Just because we were able to handle it and we were able to, get it all sorted out, we'd much rather not have it happen at all. And that falls again under one of the things, control what we can control.
Mhm.
And something else that Tex, you mentioned about, we do get a bunch of follow-up phone calls. Somebody will have a question like, I know we talked about this and I think I know the answer, but I can't remember exactly. That brings up something that we've always allowed, if not encouraged, is, when someone is picking up, the technicians are good with, if you want to record this so that you can go back and refer to it, no problem. Some of them are probably a little more comfortable in front of a camera than others, but ultimately there's no difference. There's just the idea that, somebody can go back and refer to this material later. And the other, something that I think has come up, it feels like it's coming up more and more in the RV space, is the idea of outside inspectors coming in and doing a quality check on a unit before it leaves. Something that we have always embraced. There are certain things that we do have some requirements to make sure that if somebody's going to be on and in and around these units, that there's some proper insurance and things that are in place. But we're never going to be a guy or a company that is like, no, we don't want that. If that's something that helps that customer feel more comfortable taking ownership, and if there are something that an inspector finds that are legitimate issues at the time, let's go. Point that out for us and give us a copy of that report, or work with us in real time as you're doing it, and we'll have somebody there. And if you point something out, I want you to document it, put it in your report. But if you'll tell the guys while you're there and they can fix it, I'd like you to document and put in your report that this is how it was repaired and that the repair was acceptable. So
we just had a motorhome go through that exact same thing. A used piece that we have that's really nice, and Mike came out, did an inspection, pre-PDI inspection before us, and went through it. He found, did a 58-page inspection, really documented it. 6 items on there the customer must have, and then they listed a couple other like to have, but for only having a handful of items on a used piece like that.
Yeah, 11-year-old bus, So yeah. Well, and too, as we get towards the end of this, I want people are watching, listening to understand too that, when we talk about our process, that legitimately does happen every time. Like it is part of our routine. We don't let anything leave.
I refuse. I will not let it go.
Used, without running through all this. And so just know, like, if you're buying from us, when you get home, your unit did go through this process, and it doesn't matter if it's a Springdale or a Tiffin. It went through this process. Now, the Springdale doesn't take as long because it doesn't have as many things on it. The Tiffin takes a lot longer because it's a lot more complicated. So there's a lot more to check out, and you've got an engine drivetrain. So, but just know, when you get home, your unit did go through this process. And so it has been gone over to almost a fault sometimes. So, if you find something that needs to be repaired or whatever, it happened, and or we missed it, maybe. But nonetheless, it has been ran through, because this is just not. There's really no exception. Thousands and thousands of sold RVs. I can't think of a single one that didn't get this attention. So
no, I'm down that PDI lane every single day, multiple times. Pop in the units, see how they are, try to find something our guys might have missed. Look for something that we can do continuous training with them. One topic we didn't get to was offsite deliveries, because that's something we do often too, and they get the full PDI focus along with we'll video the inside and out before they leave, because we know what we did to it, and we want to make sure it's in that shape when it arrives there. But those get a lot of focus too. If I know something is an offsite delivery and a customer's not going to pick it up in person, we want to make sure it has extra attention too.
Sure.
No doubt.
And we do a lot of that too. I mean, there's a lot of units that customer has never seen in some cases before it's at their drop-off point, whether it be their house, whatever it is. And so, we put a lot of hope into that and a lot of attention because they're putting their faith in us to drop off a unit, 1,000, 1,500 miles away. We've sent units to Dubai in containers. Well, obviously, we're never going to see that one again,
Right.
so it has to leave right and ready to go, again, that a lot of what we can take away from this is if you're buying something, whether it be from us or somewhere else, expect that attention to detail on your rig. You'd mentioned the people earlier on, and we're very fortunate that we do not really have a lot of turnover from a people standpoint. So a lot of our people who are helping us and working with us on a daily basis at the stores, they've been here for multiple years. In fact, all of our PDI guys have been here for multiple years. There's you could see sometimes where the thought process is at a dealership, the PDI is the easy part because it comes in new. What could be wrong, but so they'll take their least experienced people and put them in PDI so they can learn units. Well, we're very fortunate again that being probably from a smaller area also helps because most everybody. But nonetheless, a lot of our PDI techs are some of our most experienced people. And we've got fantastic talent in our PDI lane. So anyway, I thought maybe this would be an interesting topic to just kind of run down because maybe people may not understand what all goes into the prep process. And so hopefully this helped clear some of that up and maybe some insight,
And I think that it's worthy of note here, guys, that we've talked a lot and we'll continue to talk about the way that dealerships handle these things. And this whole process is something that we at TNS consider part of our responsibility. Call it a fiduciary. Like it's in our dealer agreements that we're going to perform these PDIs. We feel like it's our responsibility to the customer to make sure that we've been very thorough and very extensive with all of this setup and the testing and the demonstration. And it's not something that we're tagging a line item fee, to charge the customer for this.
Right.
This is part of a purchase, and they're built by human hands. This is not our industry is not one that has a tremendous amount of automation in the assembly process, the manufacturing process. So, coming from the home building industry, years ago, we had the same thing. We could build you a great house. It will not be perfect. There are industry standards that are considered acceptable, and we're making sure that everything is well within those industry standards and as good as we can make them from our aspect, and not charging the customer, for that process. So if you're out there and you're listening and you're paying a PDI fee, don't.
Yeah, right.
It should not.
That's it.
It should not be something that you accept to pay in addition to a sales price.
Yeah, that just means your sale price went up is all it amounts to.
Right.
They got you in on a certain number, and then the sales price went up because it started adding things to it when you got there. So yeah.
Well, fellas, what did we not talk about when it comes to PDI that maybe we need to cover before we get out of here?
Man, I think we hit every time.
No, I think that's it. I mean, this, every time we do one of these, we talk about keeping it to 15 or 20 minutes, but that's very difficult. So so maybe we'll just get rolling here because we've got some PDIs to go make sure.
That's right. So for everybody out there, we appreciate you joining us. Make sure that you like and subscribe to whatever the channel or the platform that you found this on. Hit the bell so that you get notified for new alerts or new episodes, and never miss one when they hit. We're going to have more and more of this, and we're looking forward to it, and we appreciate you.
Yep, absolutely. You want to wrap us up?
Yes, sir, I will. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We're thankful. That's a reoccurring theme, and it's never going to go away. We are eternally grateful for what you've provided to us. We thank you for these opportunities to serve. We thank you for the opportunities to learn and to grow, and we thank you for the resilience to take these things on and to embrace them. Lord, we ask that you would watch over all the members of these teams and continue to strengthen them and give them the resolve to do things in a way that would be pleasing to you. Lord, we ask all these things through and from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you joining. Good job, boys.